Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. Yeah.
We're gonna have to write the committee. Like they need to put out the rankings a little earlier because we're sitting here coming on a few minutes late because we're sitting here both watching the rankings, and so I feel very unprepared. All right, what's up, Raj? How are you doing, man?
After this weekend, I am doing fantastically splendid on this beautiful Tuesday evening. Herb, how are you doing?
I wonder why he's so excited. I'm good. We're just watching the show. Yeah. I think we'll just rewind it and pause it. They're already up there.
I was watching the rankings as well.
Then the woo in the song. Is that Herb doing the woo in the song? No. But I should put my voice out there more because it's just so beautiful and melodious.
No, please don't.
Yeah. So what are you trying to say? If I start singing, everyone will start to skedaddle? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. If you start singing, everyone will start to skedaddle.
Fine. So what's up? Roll Tide, the cat, half of the Alpha Pools, the other half.
Shout out to the Alpha Pool. Thank you for joining us as always.
Yep. What's up, Lady Alpha? What's up, Big Mike? Mike, the man behind the scenes and the man. If you're behind the scenes, and then does that mean you're also on the scenes? Because Mike,
Mike is just kind of have this omnipresence about him. He's just kind of like everywhere. So
Mike is the scene. That's what we're basically.
Yeah.
So where's up, Mike? Randy, how are you doing,
Randy,
sir?
shout out to
Randy, always hardest working man in sports. So, well, of course we were going to start off with our game, but you just saw the rankings pop up there, Raj. Any surprises as you were kind of watching that come down the pipe?
Not too surprised. I know that we have a few more weeks of college football to be played. The Georgia thing, them being left out, that's going to change this Saturday because we'll of course we'll have our college picks up this week, but I think that the result of that game will obviously change the landscape of the college football playoff.
Yeah. And to Roger's point, real quick, just to Roger's point, a lot of the game, like we don't talk about certain games because we do our own pick show hosted by Big Mike. And we want to try to drive you there to find out who we pick. So that's why he's saying he'll tell you Georgia's on the menu, Georgia, Tennessee's on the menu. But if you want our picks, you got to go to the YouTube channel. All right, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Same with Indiana. Obviously, I think they have a bye this week, but then next week they have the big one where they travel to Ohio State. That's going to change things. So, we had a couple more weeks left. Things are going to flip flop a little bit for the most part. I don't know if anybody in the top four is going to lose, to be honest with you, with the remaining schedule until the conference championship game. So
well, Texas does have to go to Texas A&M. That could be interesting.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
But I don't think Miami does. I have to look at BYU. Randy, it was just, and honestly, we were just taking more notes on the bottom of it, but SMU was like the first team out, and then Georgia came in ranked 12th, but because Boise State was ranked 13th, but they're the highest group of 5. That's that one we kind of talked about last year. That it's if you're ranked 12th, you're actually out of it. If you're, just an interesting. But it's like Raj said, the rankings are always premature, and this weekend, Georgia wins, they're in. If they lose, they're out. Like, I think that's if I was in that position, that's the only thing I would care about. So
the only good thing about the rankings is it kind of gives you an idea of how the committee's viewing the whole landscape of college football, how they're voting, and how they're ranking some of these higher seeds. So that's the good part about it. Another thing is I think that I don't know. Let me ask you this: do you think there's any type of scenario in which a 3-loss team makes it in at all? The reason I was asking is I think I've seen it on social media.
It goes along with this question is why I'm putting it up, Rod, and my answer. So that question was asked to us at the beginning of the year. I feel like maybe on Randy's show, but maybe somebody else also posted it as well.
Yep.
My thought is this: when everybody says a 3-loss team, the only way one gets in is if you're 10-2 and go to the SEC championship game and lose. And I feel like that's the only scenario because if you're 9-3, I don't think you go.
That's why I posed the question, because that's a possibility. It could very, very, very well happen. And to Kat's point, you kind of put your team, and whether it's the SEC or another conference, you kind of put yourself in this position where like maybe you just miss out on that game. And if you miss out on the game, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you do go to that game and you lose, you're 10-3. The committee is going to be looking around like, yeah, you lost against good competition, but there's going to be a lot of 2-loss and 1-loss teams out there that might deserve it a little more than you. So
right.
I don't know. We'll see.
And to that point, Raj, it also put the last memory of you is losing that game on a day. Yep. Let's say like I know the losses don't add up, but let's say Texas loses to Texas A&M, right? That's their loss. They're a 2-loss team, right? But that's the last game of the season. For whatever reason, mathematics, whatever, they missed the SEC championship game, right? Another 10-2 team goes. They lose that game. You're looking at it, you're thinking, well, Texas lost their last game, right? And this other, team, I'm not going to say Alabama because I'm not going to speak that into existence. So I'm going to say whatever the other 10-2 team is, loses in the SEC championship. We'll say Ole Miss, right? Loses the SEC championship, right? Then your last memory of that team is like, well, you lost your last game. When somebody could be like, well, Texas lost their last game, we'll be like, well, that was weeks ago. We barely remember that, And like, I know it's kind of funny, but you know how people think. We watched you lose today, and we're doing the vote. So
now I do think as the tournament expands over the next few years, which we probably will see it happening, then there's a chance that a 3-loss team will. And the bigger the tournament, of course, the more losses you can have, kind of like March Madness with basketball. But when we had the 14 playoff, 2 losses, you're not in. With the 12-team playoff, it's kind of like 3 losses, you're not in. So bigger the tournament, the more room for for failure.
Yeah. If necessary. Well, I think the other thing that's going on with this too, with the way it's set up, everyone got rid of divisions. So the other problem is now, like, Penn State only played Ohio State. They can go, 11-1, not go to the conference championship game. So a 3-loss team can't jump them. You know what I mean? It's it's so many teams that miss the top teams in their division. I mean, like Texas basically had to play Georgia, right? And now they're going. Right. They could go to the SEC. You just miss so many different things that it's going to be too hard for a 3-loss team. So I think it's funny that we were like, hey, a 3-loss team's not going to make it, and everybody's like, okay. And then Mike says a 3-loss team's not going to make it, and people are like, I agree with Mike. I know. That should tell you, folks, how important Big Mike is to the whole operation.
He's huge. He's huge to the show. And then you have a team like Notre Dame who's going to skate on in. I mean, and with their schedule, obviously the hardest team they played this year might have been Texas A&M. They beat Texas A&M, and after that, it's pretty much smooth sailing. And I know once we first saw the schedule, we saw them playing Florida State, and at the beginning of the season, we're like, oh man, that's going to be a great game. But then after the first couple of games of the season, we're like, oh, wow, you guys got lucky with the Florida State game. So Notre Dame, I don't see them losing any more games. They do play Army on the 23rd. I mean, that could get
but what was that other game? Was it Air Force or something that we thought about, and they smoked them in that one too? So
that was Navy.
Yeah,
Navy. Sorry, Navy. And then they finish off with USC. With the way USC's program is looking right now, that shouldn't be a close game, but it is at USC. So
I thought at the beginning of year, Raj, that would be one that tripped them up, and that one went in the tank quickly.
And we even had Mark on here at the USC guest during one of our summer programs, and he hyped it up, and he was ecstatic about the program, told us some good things, and it just hasn't really panned out. USC's 4-5. I don't have the remaining schedule in front of me, but it's just not looking good.
Yeah, if you ever go over to Locked On USC, the real USC, he's ripping them. So he's not happy with what he's seen. You took marginal improvements on defense, and then you tanked on offense, and it's just kind of it has not been a good one. So we definitely appreciate him coming on this summer. But
shout out to Mark. We appreciate you, man.
Has taken a big step backwards, especially getting into the new league. So all right. So any other thoughts on the playoffs? or the rankings that we just saw come out there?
No, like I said, it'll change next week, and it'll probably change every single week with some things, some shakeups happening. So I'm fine with it.
And you saw at the bottom there, it was SMU beat Georgia 12, Ole Miss, Alabama, Miami, Notre Dame, Tennessee, BYU. So still some big games for the SEC folks. So that'll be be interesting. So, and what is this? And did want to address this one. The current iteration of Georgia should be out. I think they've gotten this late in the season, and they're kind of like where Alabama felt like a week ago, right? More questions than answers, honestly.
Yep.
And we'll talk a little bit more about LSU. Did we actually answer those questions? But Georgia just – and this is a quote Randy. He thought the offense would carry this team, right, until the defense caught up. And it's been the defense balling out and basically not having a margin for error because the offense hasn't picked it up. And that's about as honest as I can get with Georgia. And like Carson Beck is coming under fire. You know?
Well, he's been under fire for several weeks now because he's turnover prone. I'm just not, to your point, I'm just not sure what to say about Georgia. I think after that Texas win, I felt like they were the kings of college football for a certain period of time. I really thought they were going to win out, but we haven't seen to the same thing with Alabama. There have been a lack of consistency with Georgia, a lack of consistency with Alabama. We have our good games and we have our bad games. This past Saturday for Georgia just happens to be one of their worst games of the season. Now they have a really, really big game hosting Tennessee this Saturday. Again, we'll go dive more into that discussion with our college picks, but that's going to be a huge matchup. But after that Texas game, you would look at that and say Georgia's going to blow them out. Now, I don't know what type of Georgia team I'm going to see. I don't know what type of Tennessee team I'm going to see. Nico suffered he had concussion-like symptoms last week against Mississippi State, but of course I think he's on set to play, so he'll be playing. And I think Tennessee's gonna try to air the ball out if they can, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be a very, very exciting game. I think out of all the games this Saturday, of course Alabama Mercer is going to be my favorite game to watch. But
that is not going to be your favorite game to watch.
Yeah, it is. I like watching us play. But I think most exciting game is going to be Tennessee, Georgia by far.
Oh, yeah, by far. I don't think it's even close.
Yeah.
All right. You ready to dive into this past weekend? Okay.
Yeah, I read.
So, and I'd read different things, Kat, about Nico, because I read, and maybe some of them were more team related because some people, he's good to go, he's great, and I believe that's more Tennessee guys putting that out than the actual team, if that makes sense. Okay, so we didn't post this past weekend, but Raj picks Bourbon for the big games, right? Yes. After it failed against Tennessee, and I called him, said, "Are you picking one?" He said, "Are you sure?" Because it didn't work the last time, right? So it was like, yeah, man, let's go for it. So Raj, what bourbon did you pick for this past game?
I don't have the bottle in front of me. It's in the kitchen, but I picked a bourbon called Redemption. I was walking through Total Wine, and of course they have an assortment of bourbons and whatever you want to pick. And the name Redemption was just sitting there. I'd never had it before. Herb, I don't know if you had it or not, but
I had not.
That name stood out to me because I remember what happened last time we played in Death Valley. And we lost a really, really close game to Jaden Daniels. And, I really, really feel like that was a game we could have won. Unfortunately, we lost. So I felt like we needed to redeem ourselves based on that. And we just needed to redeem ourselves just for the entire season. I think that we have kind of put ourselves in a position in which we were going to get highly criticized, which we have been, which was definitely warranted. And this was going to be a statement game for Alabama if we could pull it out. And I was right.
So give me the stats, Raj. What was Brian Kelly's record? Death Valley.
I think he was 13-0. I want to either 12-0 or 13-0 in night games in Death Valley prior to this past weekend.
Yep.
Somebody double check me.
I think every Alabama coach, especially in recent memory, has lost their first trip to LSU too. Was another stat that was put out there too as well. So it was like everything is going against you.
Yeah, it was that. It was that. The fact that it was a night game in Death Valley, the fact that we had been playing inconsistent, the fact that the last two road games we played on the SEC, we lost. So we didn't know if we were going to fall into the same pattern. But luckily for us, third time's a charm. In DeBoer's third road SEC game, we looked like a completely different ball team as opposed to the previous weeks. And I was Excited about it. It was funny because the first play of the game was a false start, and I'm like, oh no.
I know.
Here we go. It's going to be a long night. And then
I think I stood up and I just went.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, here we go. But then one or two plays later, Milroe escapes the sack, throws it to Hollywood, first down, and the rest was just flying high after that. So
yeah. I'm gonna set the scene for mine too. So I was home alone at this point, right? And I don't know if you know, Rod. Like I can't. Yeah, they left me. Except they knew they left me. But I can't. It's hard for me to sit still. Yeah. So I decided I was gonna clean up the house, do laundry and everything. So, and the room where I watch my stuff is downstairs. So I went upstairs. I turned on the living room TV, turned on the bedroom TV, got my little TV out in the garage, put that TV up. So if I walked all over the house, it's except I cleaned, Kat. So you come back to a better place than you left it. Yeah. So basically, as I walked through the house, I could always see a TV. And of course, that slowed down once the game started. But Raj called me, and so this will go with it. Raj called me, and all right, Herb, we got to take a shot. One shot. Oh, I'm sorry. He actually set rules. All right, you can't drink the redemption bourbon until the game starts. Okay, so you got to drink something else until then. I'm like, okay. Then, all right, he would call me. We would have a shot. Okay, do a shot. Call me, have a shot. Okay, do a shot. Like spaced out. We weren't like boom, 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 boom. It's like I think beginning before the game and halftime. The bourbon was not that great. I'll be honest. It was just kind of okay. I think I would definitely mix it.
Did you? Okay, that was my question. See, I always make it old fashioned. So I put a little flavor in there.
You make so much better old fashions than I do. So it's like after you've had a Raj old fashioned, you don't want to make your old fashioned.
I think you're a little heavy handed, and I tend to be sometimes a little bit too. But I have to put a little flavor in there. Get my orange, get the cherries, nice amount of ice, and sip on that, and I'm good to go. So
you're making us old fashions in 2 weeks.
I can.
And in 2 weeks, folks, is that two? That's
actually,
next week, huh?
It's next week, really.
Yeah, next week. I'm sorry. Raj and I are going officially to the Oklahoma game.
Yes.
We will have an Oklahoma guest next week, Brian.
Yep.
Thursday night, I fly out to Dallas. Friday, we head to Oklahoma. We'll be in Oklahoma both nights. Come back on Sunday. Hopefully happy, Lord willing. But
yes.
And nothing will be as good as a sweet taste of victory, Mike. But the bourbon definitely needs to be mixed. So Kat said, and Kat is kind of in our boat of like, once I start doing something and the team starts winning, I'm not going to stop doing that. So I remember she posted something like, hey, I'm doing this and we're winning, so I'm just going to keep doing this. So Kat has watched the game from her bathtub before, folks. Like if you want to know about dedicated fans, she's dedicated fans. So, and then we'll get to Kat's other question here in a minute. So a game starts off like it does. You kind of get up to halftime. What are your halftime feelings on the game?
Halftime feelings, I was excited at the way we played, but I was still nervous because I felt like I had seen this story before when we played Georgia. Nice lead at halftime, but then we come out second half and we're not executing as well as we did the first half. So I was like, okay, we can't do that anymore. We have to come out in the second half and then just keep on knocking down the door. Don't take the foot off the gas and just keep going at 100 miles per hour, which we did. And I was happy. But yeah, I'm sorry to answer your question. Yeah, halftime, I was happy. I was very, very pleased with the way we played, not just offensively, but defensively as well. We hadn't given up a touchdown. So I was happy with that.
Yeah. And so they come out right after half. That was their big drive, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
No, I'm looking through the stats and everything for that drive because that was in my memory. That's what I was thinking was the first one. The interception was huge. I mean, I think you can just feel the air come out of the stadium at that point.
Because I think had they scored there, that would have gave LSU some momentum. It would have got the crowd more into the game. But that interception, like you said, just sucked everything out of them. And I think at that point, they just felt demoralized. They're like, dude, we did all this just to get 0 points. And it was huge for us. And again, I was excited, but I was like, we're not finished. Just like Kobe said, job's not finished. Yeah. So luckily we continued to play on. We just looked good. I was really excuse me, obviously we're going to talk about Milroe's performance, but I was very well pleased with the way that the defense played and how they have been playing after the Missouri game. And keep in mind, obviously we shut out Missouri and Brady Cook was hurt. I get all that, but they played well even when Brady Cook was there. They played extremely well this past Saturday night. Very pleased with the defense that came home at. It looked like we made a few adjustments to the Swarm. Herb, you still here? All right, we'll see if Herb's here. It seems like we've made a few adjustments to the Swarm, and I'm not accurate about this, but they just look like they were much more hungry up front. Got a few sacks in there, got our turnovers, and Herb even posted this on social media. And I told her this prior to this game, maybe even a week prior to the game. I said, I'm predicting that we get 2 picks in this game. We ended up getting 2 picks. Obviously, John Campbell had the big sack with the turnover on off Nussmeier. Defense looked really hungry. I was ecstatic about that. And when Herb gets back, I think we will talk about Milroe's performance, which is one for the ages. The past 2 games against LSU, he's had 8 touchdowns, 8 rushing touchdowns, and 155 yards last year, 185 yards rushing this year. It was huge. And I want to say today, speaking of that, what am I saying? More pressure. Yeah, good point, Mike. They put a lot of pressure on the QB the past few weeks, and we've seen the difference. And that was another thing. That was another thing that I was talking about prior to the game. But besides the 2 picks, I think we need to pressure Nussmeier to kind of help us win the game, and we did. We executed well in defense. Good point, Mike.
Test.
You back?
Yeah. Can you not hear me? Okay.
I can now.
Oh, did you try to sabotage me? Is that what just happened?
I did not try to sabotage you. I was just discussing the defense's stellar performance this past Saturday. What did you see from the defense? Did you see anything different? I did mention the fact that it looked like we had maybe a few more people up front. Yep. It seemed like it because we were all over the field. But what are your takes on the defense?
No, what you guys were talking about with pressure, that was huge. I thought that was one of the biggest things. I mean, to the point where one of the best images, Brian Kelly at the end of games, was complaining about. We had backups in, they saw starters in, and they're going down to score. So we said, well, if you're going to do that. He was like, they're still sending 8 or 9 guys. Like, look, if you're in and you're trying to win or trying to score garbage touchdown, then it's our job to try and stop you. That's, you're playing starters versus backups. So, to your point, the pressure was great. The pressure was great. So,
yes. And they got their little garbage touchdown to Kyron Lacey at the end. We'll give them that. But it was funny because even when they scored the touchdown, none of those players or nobody was happy about it. The fans didn't cheer. The fans that were left didn't cheer because everybody pretty much left after that time.
You know what?
Just like, we're so defeated right now. This sucks.
Give shout out to Lacey because one of my biggest pet peeves is the people that score and they're down 30 or something like that, or game's over and they're like doing all their touchdown fans. I'm like, what are you celebrating? Right? There's 0% chance of coming back. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
he just like
been over it.
Yep. So there's 2 points in there I want to get to, but this was good. This one is funny because the very first play was a penalty, and then it was like cleaned up afterwards. So yes, there was a huge improvement, and that's what you need. They changed the way they did snaps. They did no more claps. So they went, I guess, on a silent count. I forget they mentioned it during the middle of the broadcast, but I think that helped a lot as far as toss. But yes, as after the first play, they cleaned it up a lot, and that's what you needed to win this game. So, and then you got to bring Katz back. I don't know if you did this while you kicked me out of the show or whatever. But
which one? Oh, I did not. I guess so. Are we saying? I'm assuming she's referring to like the previous games when he.
Yeah, she's saying the previous games. Yeah. Versus how he looked in this game.
I do think he got banged up. I do think he got banged up during the South Carolina game, and that affected him in the next few games. But this game, and I think it was specifically was it his 3rd touchdown run where he broke the tackles and broke out to the right, and he just went to light speed and just turned on the jets and shoo! And they reviewed and they said basically that was like 4.340 speed. I mean, he just took off, and we hadn't seen that speed in several games, maybe since the first couple of games of the season. So to Kat's point, I think he was injured. I think his bye week definitely benefited. Well, he definitely benefited from the bye week. I was able to get some rest, and he was just gone. So Milroe looked phenomenal. One thing I did say, I actually didn't get into this, but while you left us for a second, was
I got kicked out
today at practice. Some of the reporters were talking to Ryan Williams, I guess about the lack of touches that the receivers had, and he laughed about it because he said Milroe came up to him during the game and he apologized, but they were all like, "Dude, look at the score. We're fine. Like our receivers are going to eat." K-Law got a couple touches. Ryan Williams got a few touches, but I mean, we laid out the game plan. A lot of people in Bama Nation said we got to run the ball, and that's exactly what we did, and that's why the score looked the way it did. And keep in mind, we did have those two big deep passes, but the one that Emmanuel Henderson was overthrown a little bit, and the one to Ryan Williams, I think
I thought he was getting that one.
Had it not been raining,
I thought he was going to
get that one too. He had it. He was right there. But I think with that being said, this Saturday, I kind of feel like Milroe's going to lean. He's going to talk to Sheridan and be like, "Hey, dude, I kind of want to hit on some deep balls." So I think he's going to try to connect on some this Saturday.
Yeah,
so we'll see more of an air attack this Saturday.
Yeah, I agree. That's too. Oh, Bo, appreciate.
Shout out to Bo, appreciate you, man. Bo, Bo. I know you saw my fins last night. I know you saw it. All right, stop.
Make sure you post that tomorrow morning, Roger. I'll be on with Bo tomorrow morning. The Wednesday wrap up, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Yep.
Appreciate.
I'll be on. Raj will come in and talk bad about me. It's a great show. So
no, we already agreed. Remember the text? You said I have to talk good about you all week.
Is that possible?
I'll try.
Lady Alpha, not the week before because that was the Missouri game. But before that game, yes, they were the penalties were pretty high. I think the Missouri game, I mean, that just wasn't a competitive game either. So I think that's why. But before that, it's not. So Eric, what's up, buddy? Our Texas fan in the house. We had some good conversations during the game. We were all pleasantly he's Texas fan. He didn't care if we won or lost, but we were pleasantly surprised. And he was like, I didn't expect this. Like, no. He did predict us to win, but not like that. So
yeah,
that's what it was. I remember hearing it during there, Mike, but I couldn't remember what it actually was. So that worked out really, really well. So, and he is that because we reposted the response that Roger's talking about. That was just, you love to see that, man. When a team just buys in and says, look, the game script doesn't say the wide receivers are going to get a lot of chances, so that's just kind of what it is. So we definitely appreciate it.
Ryan Williams had 2 catches for 29 yards, which is a small game for him. But again, dude, when you're winning 28-6, you're not out there being selfish, like, throw me the ball more. Like, dude, that's not what we need to win this game. Yeah. And to Ryan Williams' point, he's already had a phenomenal freshman season. He's got over 700 yards receiving with 7 touchdowns. So, I mean, this is a great season. He's on point. Yeah. He's not worried about it all. Like I said, he'll probably have over 100 yards receiving this Saturday anyway. So
maybe I want them all out by half. I want them all out by halftime.
That would be nice. I would love
or anything.
I would love to tie it again for a whole half. I would love to see him throw the ball around.
Yep. And yeah, I think so too, Kat. But I think for his confidence and I think for him and the OC. Look, Milroe's just a different kind of – you don't have guys that fast. You have some mobile quarterbacks, but the running quarterbacks are still – harder for these OCs to kind of get used to. And so I think Sheridan's still kind of learning. You can't really plan
for them because they're so elusive. And to Her's point, there's a big difference between running quarterback and mobile quarterback. Running quarterback is Jalen Milroe. Ty Simpson, I think, is a mobile quarterback.
Right. Or like a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
Exactly.
Mobile quarterbacks. They're still looking to throw, but
we can run if necessary. But Jalen's like, dude, hike me the ball and I'm gone. I'm going to get you that 72-yard touchdown run. So
Yep. So that pretty much covers that game. I mean, that was a good feeling. I'll be honest, after the interception at the goal line, I pretty much relaxed for the
I did too.
The Katie Thompson.
I think that was the best part about the game is that it was over so early, so we got to relax. So I'm so used to having these nail-biting games where we go down to the wire, but I'm like, this one I was just at halftime, I was like, we might do pretty well. And then after the third quarter, I was like, okay, I can chill out and go take care of some other things.
Yep.
But
Yep. All right, so we got to take a quick look around some other games from this past. Unless you have any final thoughts on that.
No. Just very, very, very proud of the way that Alabama played this past Saturday. I think the biggest thing going forward is we need to keep this over the next 3 games. Yes, I know we play Mercer. According to stats, Mercer has like the best FCS defense, but regardless, I need to see consistency over these next 3 games. We got to go to OU after that next weekend. Excuse me. And then we do host Auburn. Obviously, Auburn's not having a great season, but they are our rivals, and they would like to do nothing else but to ruin the Iron Bowl for us.
I got to look this up, but I was listening to Josh Pate earlier, and he said something about Auburn. Yeah, they have the 21st ranked defense and the 43rd ranked offense. How do you get 3 and 6 out of that? I will never understand, but that's what they are. So, and we actually had a guy on there because he was like, Oklahoma gets a bye week before us. I said, well, we get Mercer.
Yeah.
He's like, Mercer's 9-1. It's like, I mean, it's still Mercer. Like,
then you look at Mercer's the team that they played. I mean, come on. They lost to Samford, I think, by 20 points.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But again, to my point though, it's just like we still have to come out and play Alabama football. We can't take this lightly. Last time we did this was when we played Vanderbilt, and we didn't get our butts whooped, but we lost it.
Yep. All right, so looking around the country, to me, there's 2 big results that kind of stood out, before we start looking into because they're first. Yeah, Kat, their turnovers are terrible for Auburn. That's how you get the stats. Like if you looked at that stat, you said, hey, you're 21st in defense, 43rd in offense, you'd be like, great. And somehow they've just decided to turn it over every other way. That just means that you can't overlook the Iron Bowl. And I'd be scared if the Iron Bowl was in Auburn. I
already told you that. I already said you that. I already told you that I was happy that DeBoer's first Iron Bowl is in Tuscaloosa because next year going into that, I think we're going to have the better team, obviously, but it's going to be in Jordan-Hare, and weird things happen in Jordan-Hare.
Yep. All right, so Raj, 2 teams kind of lost in fashions that maybe you didn't think. Yeah. Which of those 2 games you want to talk about first? And can you guess what the 2 teams are?
What was Miami and then and Georgia?
Yes.
As far as them losing, Now, which one do you say? Like, which one surprised me more?
Or which one do you want to talk about first? But which
Let's
one?
Talk about Miami Georgia Tech. Let's talk about the Miami Georgia Tech game first.
All right, bring it on.
I'm going to say this about Miami. This is something that I've mentioned this year, maybe a few times, was that offensively they look great. Cam Ward to what's the gentleman's name? Restrepo. That's one of the biggest combinations in college football this year. Obviously, Restrepo was like their leading receiver in touchdowns and receptions for Miami, their University of Miami's history, etc. But defensively, if you look at Miami's games, they give up a lot of points each game. When they play Louisville, they're in a lot of shootouts. So defensively, that secondary needs a lot of help. So I guess I'm more surprised that they couldn't put up more than 23 points. And they always put themselves in these weird situations where they're fighting in the third and fourth quarter to kind of come back and win. But they kind of shot themselves in this foot in this game, and Georgia Tech took advantage of it.
Yep. It's weird that I'm looking at their defensive rank for Miami and it's 22nd. I don't know how that happens because every other game I watch.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of the first, Florida, they held to 17, then FAMU 9, Ball State 0, because I just look at a lot of the other ones. Like you said, 31 points, 45 points, 38 points, 34 points.
Their defense gives up a lot, but that's also the thing about Miami is that's also a team you may not want to get in a shootout with because Cam Ward can light you up on offense. I mean, they gave up 31.
Mike, how long do you take thinking about these? I feel bad for Mike sometimes because it's clear we've influenced him for the worst because that is a classic Herb and Raj. Mike, well done, sir.
And shout out to Mike. And Mike has been a little under the weather the past few days. So, Mike, we hope you're feeling better, man. We love you, man. Can't wait to do the shows this week.
Yes, sir. So, that one was it basically was just and it's funny. That loss at Georgia Tech has changed everybody's perceptions of Miami. And I'm like, they're still the same Miami team. The ACC is not that strong. Right. Cam Ward is playing phenomenally. He's good for like one crazy interception or fumble a game.
Right.
And then like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns at the same time, So that's what they're going to be. But they're going to go as far. Like if you hold him, like you said, to 23 and under, they're losing the game. Like that's just it.
Well, they're playing Wake Forest and Syracuse next. So they're going to finish 11-1. Most likely in the ACC championship game. As far as who they were playing, without looking at everything, I'm assuming.
Randy, feel free to post it. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I don't know what his perception of Miami is, but Randy let us know. I don't know. I'm assuming they play Clemson in the ACC championship game. I have to look at the ACC again to kind of get a better understanding of that, but that'll be a pretty good game. I think it'll be Clemson's defense, I guess, against Miami's offense. If it comes down to a shootout, I might take Miami. But
I don't think Clemson is in a position to make it, though. I thought that was SMU.
Well, that's why I said I have to look at the ACC. I'm not exactly sure. Did you say FSU?
SMU.
I thought you meant Florida State. I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about SMU.
Are you saying that just so you can post? You can post Mike to Bo's
shout out to Bo. Yeah, Bo. Florida State's drop off is. I mean, they're what 1-8, 1-9. I don't know what to do. I can only imagine after this season, Florida State's going to have a lot of transfers for obvious reasons. Their quarterback situation has been absolutely putrid in Herb's terms this year. They thought DJU was the guy that was going to really, really carry them. That didn't happen. They have a lot of questions to be answered. I don't even know what the recruiting landscape looks like. I can only imagine they're losing a lot of recruits too to go to a few people are probably decommitted because they don't even want to be part of the program. And Bell, one other thing that Herb and I have pointed out, 2025, Florida State has to start off by playing the University of Alabama, and that game is in Tallahassee. So next year they're gonna start off with a loss too. So I don't know. They got a long thing. And Norvell will probably be on the hot seat next year if he's not already on. Yeah.
I think we're saying the same thing. Like that was I guess what you're saying, like the people who had them ranked higher. I think Raj and I have thought that the same thing all year. They've been playing with fire. We were just waiting for them to lose one because I picked them to lose to Louisville too. And they're just going to go as far as Cam Ward can get them. But their defense is horrible. And if he throws an interception in the key game, I think it's over for him. So, but they play in a weaker ACC, so they're not getting tested as much, and they're still doing it. So, talking about the post about the guy. If such game, I remember that. Ew. So that was I was trying to look up the standing. Yeah, so SMU is the only undefeated team in the conference right now. Okay. Clemson is at 6-1, Miami is at 5-1.
It's funny. I'm living out here near Dallas, and I completely forgot about SMU. So shout out to SMU.
So it could be you'd be forgiven for forgetting that the Texas team is in the ACC all of a sudden. So.
Yeah, that's. Oh, that was a bit much. I guess the other game that you're referring to this past Saturday was obviously the Ole Miss Georgia game. I guess Kiffin's
a genius for the squirrels to. He can't fake injuries anymore, so now he brings out squirrels onto the field.
What were your takes from, I guess, the Ole Miss Georgia game? Was there anything that surprised you other than the score? Like what did you take from that game?
So since Randy's, I'm going to say this: Randy picked them to lose to Ole Miss at the beginning of the year as their only loss. I just said no way, and I felt like he's doing like we do when I said what Alabama's record going to be. I said 10-2, but which two teams do I want to pick them to lose? So I'm not going to do that. So I think he was just taking Ole Miss as probably a team that wouldn't get as much, I don't know, pushback, but their fan base isn't really out there getting on your nerves.
Right.
That game didn't go, and on our pick show, I picked Georgia to win that game. It just didn't go anything like I thought. I'm just so used to right now Georgia's defense holding a team down, offense playing a terrible first half. In the second half, Beck put some couple things together and, they win. And the offensive part never happened. And your defense is just you look at how that game starts, Jackson Dart gets hurt, throws an interception.
Yes.
Georgia punches it in. The backup quarterback comes in. That's when I thought they might be in trouble, when the backup quarterback.
And Georgia, Ole Miss's backup quarterback didn't look that bad. I was like, okay, he's got an arm on him.
I didn't really see him have
to run much, but
he actually looked pretty decent. Led a nice drive, threw a couple nice passes. When I'll be honest, when they scored that with the backup quarterback, I was like, this is about to be something. Okay. But I never would have guessed that Georgia had 10 points and 7 of them came off a turnover. And then you never got another touchdown for the whole rest. I would have never guessed any of that,
I just thought this was going to be a game where that Georgia defense just took advantage of Ole Miss and Lane's, tendency to kind of take chances in the game. And it just seems like this was the opposite of the defense that we saw. I know.
He took a lot of field goals.
It seemed like this was the opposite of the Georgia defense we saw in the Texas game. That's and that's when I talk about, the consistency or the lack of consistency, I guess, from Georgia. And then, of course, Alabama has been inconsistent too. But it just seemed like a completely different Georgia team,
Well, I think the defense kind of bowed up. They kept them out of the end zone for most of the game. Yeah. But if you're off, it's like we always used to say when like either during the tour years or when even this Milroe team, your defense – isn't as bad as what you think until they're on the field all the time. And Georgia just wasn't sustaining drives or getting much done offensively. I don't know. I'm just disappointed in that side of the ball, and I'm disappointed in Beck. Like, that's just what I expected more from.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And we got to give Mike a shout out for where did this one? Yeah, Raj, the Southern Methodist, so they will forgive you. So thank you. We appreciate that, guys. And Kat, don't ever speak that name around here again. Ever.
Yeah.
No, I mean they did well. They had, after the game they said it. They were pumped up for this game, and they've been thinking about it for a year about how they got thrashed last year, and they were the more physical team. Shout out to Ole Miss, man. So
shout out to Ole Miss.
Most mature. I agree. Mike taking the points when he was taking the points is something that Kiffin never did.
No.
But when you take the points that many times, kick field goals that many times, you have to have faith in your defense, and that's what he did. So those are the two biggest surprises, I think, from the past weekends. Games, and not even just the wins and losses, but like how they won and lost. Like you said, with Miami not scoring a lot in that game, Georgia Tech just controlled it. And then, like you said, with how physical Ole Miss was. So,
and then Miami had that big turnover towards the end that kind of sealed the deal with Georgia Tech.
So when I was talking about, that's one of my issues with Cam Ward. Every game he has an inexplicable interception or fumble. That fumble, Raj, he was back in the pocket for like 10 seconds. And even if I'm exaggerating, he was back there long enough to where
he was back there for a while.
You take a lot of sacks, but all the sacks aren't on the offensive line.
I was wondering, and we don't see him scramble much, but I was like, dude, when you have that much time, depending on how much time you have, just run the ball and then run out of bounds. At least gain something.
Mobile quarterbacks, Raj, who are trying to prove that they're pocket passers, sometimes stay back there too long to see what they can do versus, hey, plus it was time running out. So he probably felt like they needed a chunk play, but what they didn't need was an interception. It was a fumble. So he needed to take off at some point in that one. So, all right, the transition in the next week, I got the text message because I'm the old one in the group. I always seem to forget. So we cannot forget this as we transition the week. Pretty much the only reason why some people are tuned into the show.
I know what it is. Yeah.
You know what it is. Big Mike's Fun Fact.
What's up, everybody? It's Big Mike back again with another edition of Bama Opponents Fun Fact. Up next, the Mercer Bears. Mercer University fielded its first football team in 1891. But when they step on the field against Alabama this weekend, they will only be playing in their 428th game in 133 years. The reason is that the school shut down its football team multiple times over the years. First, they took 2 years off in 1917 and 1918 for World War I. Then, after the 1941 season, they took a 72-year hiatus at the beginning of World War II. The program was finally reinstated in 2013 and played its first game against Reinhardt University, a game they won 40-37. And that's this week's Bama Opponents Fun Fact. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide, Big Mike.
Appreciate that, Mike.
We want to beat them so bad that they take another 72-year hiatus.
Yeah, I can't believe they took a hiatus due to some wars.
Some wars, yeah. Okay. And what's up, Ricky? Roll Tide, Ricky. Raj, you think it's bad how much you have to put up with me? Every day, Ricky has to work with me, and every single day he questions his life choices.
You told me that. Ricky is a strong individual for having to put up with you Herb, I've done it for decades. I can't do it anymore. I'm so glad we don't live around each other. I could not. I don't see how Brittany does it.
Hey, can we have that cut where Raj said he has to talk good about me for the rest of the week? That did not even make it through.
That's starting tomorrow.
Make it through the whole show. So, Raj, you want to tell everybody why you're supposed to be nice to me?
Because you picked Miami to win the game.
Yes.
Thank you, and I appreciate.
Wow, that's crazy. I know she's talking about the Mercer stuff, but I'm gonna say that's crazy that Raj isn't nice to me. Thanks, I appreciate.
Oh my gosh.
So, and of course, Mike, take a bow.
I mess with you a lot, Herb, but I don't want to be perceived as some sort of like Harridan or anything, like some sort of old shrew.
Really?
I had to get my word in there.
So sad. So sad.
Time to skedaddle to the next subject.
Yeah. It's always hard to do one of these where you're like, it's Mercer, but we talked this way about Vandy, and you saw how that happened. Yep. So it's kind of one of those. I would hate to be the coach on these weeks because you're sitting there and trying to tell, kids this. Man, if I'm a 20-year-old and I'm playing Alabama and I look and I see Mercer, I'm probably not taking this seriously. But this is
right.
It's still another game on your schedule. You got to handle business in this.
But again, we beat Georgia. We had a good win there. We came back. We played Vanderbilt, lost. So I don't want us going into this game thinking, oh, it's just Mercer. Like, bro, they're 9-1. They've got a good defense. Let's take this seriously and let's blow them out. And then to Herd's point, I would love to get the starters out there after the first half, maybe into the third quarter, get Ty Simpson in there and put the backups in.
I agree. Hopefully they follow that script like we want them to, Raj. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I mean, how much else can we really say about Mercer? I could play the fun fact.
I'm not too familiar with the program, so I'll look at some more stats and stuff prior to the game and who they've played, but it's not going to help me at all. I expect us to dominate. So.
Yep. Anything can happen. Yes. And that's my thing, Alpha, is why you got to come into this game focused. I feel like our backup should be able to handle business in this game, but your starters have to earn the right to get out of the game.
Right.
So Raj and I know it's soccer, it's a donut knowledge, but I remember playing for Central High School and playing Hillcrest. And we had, was it Hoover up the next week? And it was supposed to be a big game. And we were in the middle of this Hillcrest game. And it's a game where people are like, oh, you're supposed to win this 8-0. We won 2-0. And I just remember walking around that game. And the crowd was trying to cheer. Our parents were trying to yell and pump us up. And I was just like, there was no energy at all. I was like, I'm not up for this. And that's not usually me. But that's I feel like that's how some of these games go. So, yeah.
Yeah,
they definitely do. So if you come out there and you're not playing your best, these are the kind of games that you lose and get really embarrassed in.
Right.
So I need the team to come out at their best. So for sure. You want to look at some of the other games? Now we're picking these games, so we're not going to give you a prediction for them.
That's fine.
But obviously, the biggest one for us, SEC wise, Georgia, Tennessee.
Yep.
And the biggest implications. I mean, if you're Georgia, you lose this, you're out. Tennessee, you lose this, you're kind of back in the pack with everyone else that's lost 2 games.
I think this is really going to come down to, I guess, Georgia's offense and defense. Really, I mean, I think their defense will step up, but I want to see if Carson Beck still has enough oomph left in him, enough energy in the tank to kind of give him a couple of touchdowns through the air. We know they have a decent run game with ATN. We know about their defense. The big question mark this season has been Carson Beck, and we just don't know, what we're going to see this Saturday night. And on the other end from Tennessee, is Nico, first of all, is he playing? Is that confirmed?
So like to your point, Raj,
the
line right now is Georgia -10. Doesn't that feel like they don't think Nico's going to play?
I guess so. And I have no idea who their backup is.
Rick.
So
I don't know if they have a backup. Maybe they bring back Joe Milton.
I don't know. That would be nice for Georgia win. Then you get Tennessee 2 losses, so that will throw a wrench in the college football playoff bracket. So
yeah, biggest issue. That should tell you how many major issues this year. Really?
Oh yeah. Hey,
I'd be
that's
interested to see what you think.
I'm not diving into their program. I'm just going off what I see off the TV. So.
Yeah.
It's not my job to analyze Georgia football, thank goodness.
Yeah. We'll tune in to Randy tomorrow to see what he is, because I'm interested in that, because up until this point, I've definitely been thinking Beck was not playing like Beck, not like a Heisman contender like we thought.
And when he's your quarterback and he's not playing that way, it is one of your bigger issues on your team.
Yeah. So. Looking around the rest of the conference, and I think we're picking this game also, Missouri at South Carolina. South Carolina is favored by 12.5.
I'm kind of okay with that. Missouri hasn't really looked too impressive, but I'm okay with that. That South Carolina defense has just came alive after the first few games, and they've kind of made a name for themselves. So I'm okay with that. There was another game that I am looking at, and I want to ask you
SEC wise.
SEC wise.
Texas, is it on our picks list?
Yes, it is.
No, it's not on our picks list, right?
Is it? No. Okay.
So we could talk about that one here.
Texas at Arkansas. Is this a trap game?
Yes.
I work with, I live out here in Arlington, Texas. So my boss is a UT alum. She went to the UT game this past weekend. She loves UT football. She says her husband is worried about this game Saturday. She said he mentioned it could be a trap game. I feel like it could be a trap game. This is one that's kind of sneaking up on the radar. Obviously, when you look at record-wise and how both teams have played, you say, oh, Texas is going to kill them. But Texas right now is favored by 13.5. Arkansas can make this a game. This could be an interesting one right here.
They can. Arkansas has just been – so I thought they'd be more competitive against Ole Miss. They got blown out. I thought they'd be more competitive against LSU. They got blown out. But then they held Tennessee down, which now we're finding out Tennessee's offense is not all that. I'm sorry, they beat Tennessee, by holding their offense down. They lost to Texas A&M in the close. They're just kind of like – they're that team. I wouldn't want to go travel to see them this year for sure.
Yeah.
Texas definitely is playing some tighter games than what you're used to. Obviously not the Florida game, but outside of that.
Right.
This is one of those, if we had to pick, Raj, I would try to find every reason to pick Arkansas in this game. I think they can kind of sneak up on Texas. Texas is like, once they get rolling, they're a great team. But if you can disrupt their rhythm at all, the offense doesn't put it all together. So
right.
I think that will be an interesting game to watch for sure. And I'd be rooting for Arkansas to pull off the upset. 11 a.m. game.
Too. I will too. I'll pay attention to that one. What time is that? Is the 11? Oh, that's 11 a.m. game.
Yeah.
I always like having a decent 11 a.m. game. Because sometimes there's some Saturdays when it's like the big noon kickoff, and you're like, oh wow, Ohio State and Northwestern, woohoo! So I'm gonna look forward to this one.
What was that again, Raj?
Woohoo! Yeah. So I'll be looking forward to that one.
Yep.
Oh, one more noon game. Oh, you know what? This isn't going to be a great game. Utah at Colorado.
Now we have to pick that game.
Oh,
so we do have to pick that game. Yeah.
All right, we'll leave it again. Leave it alone.
Yeah, but it is that's an interesting one. Utah's still playing physical, so I think they can maybe keep it close, but I don't want to give away my pick yet. But that's probably not as good a game as what you would have thought it would be at the beginning of the year. I'll say that.
Yeah.
All right, so let me pull up the top 25 real quick, Raj, see if there's anything else. We have to pick Clemson and Pittsburgh. Looks like some of the big dogs aren't playing anybody. Ohio State, Northwestern, you mentioned that. And Ohio State's got the big game the week after, so we'll be talking about that one lately. Pitt State, number 6, is up against Purdue. Like, they really just don't have a tough schedule at all.
No, they don't.
No. LSU has to bounce back in Florida, but we're picking that game. There's just not many other tight, top to Oregon, Wisconsin, 14. I don't think we have to pick that game, so I'll just go say I think Oregon takes that one fairly easily.
Oh yeah.
I just think they're playing much better. I don't know if Wisconsin's going to get back to their identity and like how physical they used to be in the past. You want to open it up and score more. Yeah, but I think they're still years away from where they want to get to. So, Raj, that gets you kind of towards the top of the hour. We've talked about the stuff. So, got a couple things for you. Yes. First, in particular order.
Okay.
Top 5.
In particular order. And, of course, this order is not just what we just saw of the playoff bracket. This is Raj's top 5. Oregon, Ohio State, Texas. Guess who's number 4? After
Penn
this
State.
Big win. Nope.
Colorado.
After our big win in Baton Rouge, the way that we looked, I'm putting us at number 4.
No, you're not.
Alabama.
No, you're not.
Yes,
Tennessee has one loss and they beat us. You can't.
I don't care. If we play Tennessee again, we'll beat them. I'll put us at number 4. Then I'll put Penn State at number 5. That's just like saying, do we put Indiana at number 1 because they're 10-0?
Yes.
No.
Well, I don't think they're going to be undefeated in a couple weeks anyway.
No, they're going to get killed when they play Ohio State.
Yeah. All right, which question do you want next? How do I – well, we'll do the other one because it's more of a thought one. This is one you've done before.
Yeah, you don't want to do anything where I actually have to think. Go ahead.
Well, we can just end the show then.
It's funny.
This is one where you've done this one before, but we've probably got a lot of new listeners at this point. So thought exercise. You had to build Alabama's schedule. Okay. You have to put on their schedule, they have to play this team every year. One current Big 12 team, one current Big 10 team, current ACC team, and 2 SEC teams. How do you fill out their schedule?
Current Big 12 team is going to be Colorado. I think the attraction to that game would just be phenomenal. Now, I'm saying that with how things look this year. Obviously, next year, Shador's gone, Travis Hunter's gone. But the attraction to that game, there will be a level of entertainment there that would be pretty awesome. I'm still thinking Bama to win.
So when Dion leaves Colorado, do they leave your schedule and you have to get a new team?
I don't know. It might have to. And with that being said, how much longer do you think he's actually going to be there?
That's a question for another show.
You're right.
That's a question for another. But after his kids leave and counting Travis Hunter as one of his kids, man, a couple years at best. Yeah. He's going to want to get out of there.
And I have no idea who their quarterback's going to be next year. I heard that Julian Lewis was like on the mark. He's everywhere. He was at USC. I think he was at Georgia, Colorado. I don't know.
That's what you call living your best life, Raj.
Yes. Yeah. You said Big Ten team, right?
Yep.
I like Ohio State, but I think we have a home and away with them set up in a couple years from now. So I'm going to go with Penn State. I feel like them just coming down. Them. Yeah. Them coming down to Tuscaloosa, I think we could beat them. But it would be cool to kind of go to a game at Happy Valley and be a part of that environment. I think that would be pretty cool. What else? ACC, you said?
Yep.
I'm not picking Clemson. We've been there, done that 4 years in a row. I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, Florida State, no. We play them next year anyway. I'll go with Miami.
All about the U.
All about the U. Miami's offense versus Bama's defense. So that's Big 10. That's Big 12. That is the
ACC.
ACC. Who else am I missing? I know two
SEC teams. One of them cannot be Auburn, and neither can the other one.
Can it be an SEC team we already currently play, or just have to be somebody?
Yeah, that's fine. Different? That's fine. You can keep somebody that we normally play right now. Like if you want to keep LSU, Tennessee, huh?
What about A&M?
That's your call.
A&M. I would say A&M, and I would say Florida. And I'm saying that because I'm hoping that Florida gets better in the next few years and it makes it actually a decent game. The last time we played Florida was in 2020, and that was an SEC championship game. That was actually a decent game. So I'll go A&M in Florida just for the heck of it.
You picked terribly because I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now. I'd be like Mississippi State.
Yeah, you're gonna pick the weakest teams. Yeah.
I am. I'm trying to give us 5 wins every year.
Oh my God. Well, I think Alabama would win every game against every team I just mentioned.
Okay. I don't disagree, but I don't want that random time when they're good and we have to play them. I want like the worst of.
That's what I want. Like, I want to play the best, man.
I don't. I want to be the best by beating up on all the worst. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right. Work, play, live, ditch.
I'm ditching you. Oh, sorry. I was just playing.
Like every time?
I'll just play it. I just play it.
I should just take myself out of this one then. How about that?
I'll just play it.
You ready?
Yep.
Ricky, Big Mike.
Okay.
Randy, Joe.
All right. I'm working with Randy. I sat down with Randy, hung out with him before. I think his work ethic is high on the list. I think he'll definitely prioritize things, and he'll definitely help me get to where I need to be. Man, this is a tough one. I'm gonna hang out with Joe. Just because I think Joe and I would just have a good time. Joe just seems like the silly one. So I think Joe and I would have a good time, and we would have a laugh. I'm ditching. Ricky, I'm sorry. I'm living with next to Mike because we both like the Dolphins. We both like LeBron. We both like Alabama football. We can watch sports all day. Ricky, you're my boy. You know you're my boy, Ricky. I'm only gonna have to ditch you this one time, but the following weekend I'm gonna be the first person to call you, Ricky. I know this is gonna hurt deeply, and I know I'm gonna hear about this later. And Herb's laughing, not making this any better. If you see Herb tomorrow, he's gonna laugh. Oh gosh, Ricky, I ditched you on this national podcast. This national podcast. Sorry, Ricky, I ditched you. I'm sorry.
Oh, see, first off, so Mike, it did end well for you. Okay, so you're good. Yep, yeah. Joe. Yep. And yeah, Kat, this is what I'm probably gonna play this on a loop at work tomorrow. Yep.
I'm telling you, one day we're gonna go visit Joe and Randy. We're all gonna go hang out. We're gonna have Joe's gonna wear his popcorn suit, and I'll match Joe. I'll go get a suit from a local store, some little goofy store or whatever, and we'll all go hang out.
I know Mike's not gonna call me to the party, but he would call Ricky. I've been ditched like 3 times by Raj, and nobody has ever offered to call me and get me back to the party.
Yeah, but I have to ditch you because you're the easy out. That's easy. I can live with that.
Yeah.
But I will be ditching Herb next weekend because Herb and I will be hanging out, having a good time at the OU game in Norman. Looking forward to it.
Well, anybody who's in Dallas, if you just see me hanging out at the airport by myself all weekend, that means Raj did ditch me.
Okay, come on.
Well, we do have venture coming up, Alabama basketball. We'll be talking that on Bama Standard at 7:30 with the new show JT is putting together. So looking forward to that. The basketball popularity will never overtake football, but it'll at least be fun to talk about.
Now, I do think with us being ranked number 2, and I think we'll have a couple of regular season losses, but I think the popularity in that show and everything is going to be phenomenal. Kudos to you guys, and I think things will definitely heat up, especially around March when conference championship comes to play, and then especially March Madness. So that's going to be huge.
I just want that pressure going into the game at a critical.
We got to go.
Yeah. It's been planned for too long, and now I'll probably still figure out a way to do a wardrobe change at the game.
Yeah.
So poor Raj, but definitely make that work. So
still
coming up this week, still have Bama versus the World, the Mercer edition, and our college football picks. Some good picks on deck. Appreciate everybody in there. Comments make the show, so we appreciate you guys always. And special shout out to the Alpha Pools, of course, for
definitely
for their behind the scenes work as well. We will see y'all. We got their videos coming up later. Next week we'll be back. Brian will join us for our Oklahoma podcast, and then we're gonna have a lot of stuff coming next weekend. Dallas and Oklahoma. So everybody have a wonderful night. We love y'all, and roll Tide.
Roll Tide.